Right, hello everyone and welcome back. So recently I've really been into emulating old games, more specifically PlayStation 2 games, as I've become incredibly frustrated with the mediocre trash that keeps getting released. I was fortunate enough to grow up in what I believe to be the golden age of gaming, 2000 to 2014-15. I firmly believe that after this time period, the state of games upon release and the greedy practices from their studios have only become worse and worse. So I wanted to go back and reminisce on the good times, back when I would play GTA San Andreas 2-player with my older brother, back when I was obsessed with games like Saints Row 2 and plenty of others. But the one thing that I miss incredibly from this time period is movie tie-in games. So for any of you that are unfortunately unfamiliar with this pretty ancient concept now, a movie tie-in game is a video game that is created alongside the production of a movie and more often than not is based on the movie's events. There are literally hundreds and hundreds of movie tie-in games that I could sit here and talk about, and there's nothing I would like more, believe me, but I would end up having like an hour-long video and I really don't want to edit that. So today I just wanted to talk about a few games that I used to enjoy and then just talk about what made these games so fun and why they are no longer something that we see. So to me, when I think of a movie tie-in game, there is only one game that instantly springs to my mind, and I don't know whether or not that this game was ever even considered to be good, but man, I enjoyed the shit out of it. And that is Over the Hedge, the PlayStation 2. Over the Hedge was an animated movie from DreamWorks that released in 2006, and although it's not exactly a film that everyone remembers, and I'll be honest, I haven't really watched the movie for a very long time, but the one thing I will always remember is the game that came along with it. To me, this game was elite. I don't know what it was about this game, as it was literally just a series of platform levels and mini games with the most bare bones combat mechanics, but I fucking loved it. I just couldn't get enough. I just thought it was so fun. I loved collecting all the different things around the level areas, and I was on a mission to collect all the hats. I find it crazy now looking back how something so insignificant could keep me entertained for literal hours, but now I get bored of these huge, realistic open worlds in a matter of minutes. I think it's just because these games were just so simple, easy to play, easy to complete, and just a whole load of fun to be had. For me, when I think of a movie tie-in game, I think of this one. Absolute gold. Moving on to the next game that I want to talk about, this one hits a little different. Not because of how much enjoyment I used to get out of it, but just because of how much this game used to freak me the fuck out. And that is Percy Jackson's King Kong. Growing up, this was really the only piece of King Kong media that I had consumed, so whenever I thought of him, I thought of this movie. Not the over-glorified fucking monster universe that gets crammed down our throats each year. This movie, at least, when I first watched it, used to scare the living daylights out of me. The freaky tribe at the beginning, the giant centipede, and even King Kong himself, all this combined created some sort of mental concoction in my head that any time I saw, heard, or thought about it would send shivers down my spine. Anyway, I eventually grew up a little bit, as we all do, and I mustered up enough courage to give the game a try. I thought, how bad could it be? You know, this game ain't gonna freak me out as much as the movie did. I'm a big boy now, I got my big boy pants on.
A few moments later.
Alright, so maybe I was being a little too optimistic. I'm minutes into the game at this point, and I'm already holding back a turtle head that is trying to dig its way out of my arse. I'm sitting in the pause menu, and I am mentally debating with myself whether I am big enough, strong enough to continue. But alas, I can't. I exit the game, put the disc back in its case, and probably abandon it in a shelf somewhere just to collect dust for years to come. I don't think I ever went back to the game until now, playing it recently. But the one fucking thing I will always remember is that damn centipede. And finally, that brings us on to the last game I wanted to talk about. The one I've been waiting to talk about all fucking day for. This game is probably one of my favourite games of all time. But before we talk about it, I do need to make just a slight confession. So this game isn't exactly a movie tie-in game. It doesn't follow the plot of the film, and yeah, it doesn't follow the plot of the film. It wasn't created like alongside the film. It came out pretty close to when the film came out. I think it was a year after, but it has the same actor portraying the main character, and yeah, it came out around the same time. So therefore, for the purposes of this video and a reason to talk about it, I'm going to deem this a movie tie-in game. And of course, we are talking about The Punisher. Boy, where do I even begin? To me, at the time, this game was fucking mind-blowing, and it felt way ahead of its time. I vividly remember playing the hell out of this game for as long as I possibly could. At the time, this was one of the most violent fucking games that I had ever played. To me, this made GTA and Mortal Kombat look like child's play. There was nothing more psychotic than getting giddy at the fact that I had filled up the slaughter meter and I could go full buck wild and start throwing knives through faces, as well as the what felt like endless possibilities of interrogation and execution methods. You want to threaten someone to get some information? Put their head under a fucking drill. You want to go full bloody psychomaniac? Throw a guy into a pit of piranhas. There was just endless possibility, accompanied by the fact that the Punisher in this game is a legit fucking badass, probably one of the best iterations of the character, as well as Thomas Jane's voice, the character design, the metric shit ton of weapons at your disposal. Woo! Man, this was the shit. I could just go on and on and on. Not just about this game, but plenty more that I used to enjoy. But you are probably getting bored at this point. We've just hit 14 minutes. So it's okay, I won't do that to you. The last thing I just want to talk about quickly is why these types of games are practically non-existent. I say practically non-existent because there are still a fair few movie games that come out on the odd occasion, but when they do release, they sadly pale in comparison to the quality of game that we would be getting back in the day. For example, in 2019, the long-awaited sequel to Zombieland finally arrived. And although the film was quite shit, pretty mediocre to be honest, there was one small glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel: a Zombieland video game. The possibilities are literally endless at this point. I've said that like 6 times now. With an already proven, though nearly dead theme of zombies, and the interesting characters that are already developed, we all know and love. Just give it a decent enough budget, give them enough time to cook. What could possibly go wrong? This is what could go wrong. A glorified mobile game that lacks literally any sort of real entertainment value. Not only does it look worse than majority of games we would get in 2007, it plays like absolute dog shit. And I am not joking here. I would probably get more enjoyment out of literally just playing with a bit of dog shit. It's so obvious. There was no real effort put in here. It just stinks of corporate greed. I can almost smell the concoction of 5 different heavily applied aftershaves pulsating from a boardroom somewhere. They're all just sat there like Mr. Burns, sneering away, trying to rack their brains at how they can get the Zombieland property into the gaming market. And this is what they cooked up. Although it isn't like the majority of games we see today, where it's filled with an arse ton of microtransactions and a whole fucking season pass, it is a lazy attempt at trying to wring this property dry of any extra cash that they could possibly get alongside the release of the movie. I'd even go as far as to say that this is worse than the Fast and Furious Crossroads game, because at least that had Vin Diesel reprising his role. In this game, Woody Harrelson isn't even played by Woody fucking Harrelson. Even if you couldn't get him to do like all of the voice work, just minimalize all the dialogue in the game. You don't need dialogue in this kind of game. Just get him, just take some fucking lines out of the movie. Simple. It's just, again, a sad excuse to wring this property dry and just try and get every single penny that they can. Because they know as well as we do that after the abysmal sequel that you just shit out, nobody and their fucking grandmothers is going to want to see anything even related to Zombieland anymore. And some of you may be sitting there wondering, you know, Zombieland Double Tap Road Trip clearly wasn't trying to be this big AAA title that has hundreds and thousands and millions and billions of dollars thrown at it. But that's the point that I'm trying to make. We don't need these huge, intricate open worlds with tons of details and things to do. We just want simple games with fun gameplay, a decent story, and some interesting mechanics. We are not asking for a lot, but I guess that is the problem. These companies do not care what we want. They haven't done for years. They probably never will. All they care about is rinsing consumers dry by implementing as many different methods as possible. And most studios have just taken this safe approach when it comes to creating any new games or IPs. They all stick to the same formula that is becoming very, very stale. All my damn life I've been a gamer, but for the last few years I've found myself becoming increasingly disinterested in any new game, because I feel like I already know what I'm gonna get. A half-baked broken title for £60+ and a small hope that somewhere down the line, if I'm still interested, the game might get fixed. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about that for a bit. If you enjoyed today's video, go down, hit the like, comment, hit the subscribe, and as always, I'll see you all in the next one.